Now, a think tank pioneering sustainable energy practices and climate resilience, the Africa Sustainable Energy Centre-ASEC, is advocating for the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, to privatize part of its operations. This move, they believe, will enable the nation's power provider to focus on its core technical duties, such as maintaining and upgrading infrastructure, while handing over administrative and commercial aspects to investors. This comes in the midst of growing concerns of irregular power supply across the country in recent times. Dr. Elvis Twumasi is the Director of Research and Innovation at the Africa Sustainable Energy Centre, ASEC. He joins me in the studio for a conversation. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Energy 101.
Thank you very much.
Well, so ASEC, what is it? It sounds like ASEC, Africa Center for Energy Policy. But what exactly is Africa Sustainable Energy Center? What do you do?
Okay, ASEC, Africa Sustainable Energy Center, as our name is, we are basically looking at Africa and then looking at all policies with respect to sustainable energy, so that we advise government on their policies with respect to energy and how they deal with energy. So basically, we look at the petroleum sector, the oil and gas sector, the power sector, giving out very good policy, critiquing the policies that are there, and then providing insight into what the various reviews that need to be done in order to make sure that these policies in Africa are going well.
I believe you are the new addition to the think tanks then, and of course you'll be a major stakeholder, as it were, going forward. Now, so why is ASEC calling for the privatization of ECG? Because we heard this over and over again. Some time back, there was an attempt to privatize ECG, but it failed. And so how are we sure it will work this time?
Yes, so ASEC has done some very good research with respect to this, and has realized that the only way to go for Ghana now is to privatize the distribution sector, because there are huge losses going on. About huge amount of money is being lost through electricity theft. People are stealing electricity. People are using electricity for free. People have also used it and then they are not paying. And we've realized that a high percentage of these losses are coming from the commercial aspect, because government bodies are not redeeming the amount of money that they owe the electricity sector. So we've realized that if, let's say, for instance, ECG being a ECG being a government sector and owing a government sector, and a government sector owes ECG, what it means is that if ECG wants to demand the money and other things from them, it becomes very difficult. But we all know that a private sector will not allow itself to be owed billions of Ghana cedis in terms of people not paying bills and other things. So if a private sector is in place, they'll make sure that all the losses going on are reduced.
You don't think it's rather the issue of establishing the right systems or putting in place the right systems to ensure that these revenues, outstanding revenues, are collected? Because people have advocated for proper automated systems which will easily track people who are owing and thereby going to collect. Do you think that the other option you are talking about is the right way to go?
Exactly, but the main point is that, just take for instance, you owe a family member owing you. It becomes difficult, no matter the systems and other things that you put in place to collect the money from the family member who owes you. It becomes very difficult. If it's a private person who is coming in to come and collect your money for, he will know the necessary measures to put in place to make sure that he gets that. Currently we have about, ECG has about 4.5 million customers. And we've realized that we still have postpaid meters in the system, and almost all government bodies are using postpaid meters, because we've all advocated for prepaid meters. And these prepaid meters, till you buy, you will not get the electricity to use. But we have all government bodies using postpaid meters. What it means is that they will always owe, and you always have to, ECG, the government owing ECG it's not just now. Over the years, right. In 2016, government was owing ECG billions of Ghana cedis. And what happened? We will try and collect. They will shift it within 5-year period. We will pay. But then we realized that all these people are using postpaid meters. So if we want to put in measures, then we should change all these postpaid meters. But what has happened? Every time we put in the measures and it doesn't materialize. But a private sector will not allow that. We'll make sure that we are all moving to prepayment meters. Not only the residential sector is receiving the prepayment meters, but all government bodies are receiving prepaid meters so that you buy before you use.
Okay.
Because government alone uses about 2 billion Ghana cedis of electricity every year. And look at this amount, and it takes years, it takes months before they redeem their pledges. Now, Parliament was owing high amount of money. Why don't we just change their meter to prepaid meter? If their meter is a prepaid meter, they won't owe us.
And so you think that decoupling the revenue section from the main technical section will do the magic?
Exactly, because you see, ECG currently, I can speak of that when it comes to the engineering aspect. At least we have the people who can do the technical aspect. They can look at the lines and everything. But now we need investment into the technical aspect. So we invest, we will not be able to reduce the technical aspect.
But like I was saying earlier, I mean, we had attempts of doing this, I mean, in the past when we went the PDS way and failed. And so how different would this, call that you're making be or self ECG?
Exactly. Because you see, now, when we look at PDS issue, realize that PDS in itself didn't fail in its responsibilities. They were on their responsibility, just that other issues made the contract to be terminated. So what it means is that, you see, you can ask every worker in ECG the kind of changes that came when PDS came. All workers were responding to work. They were coming to work on time. They were making sure that all revenue and other things are being collected. Realize that from 2019, when PDS was around, from 2019 up to now, the amount of losses in the system has increased. 2019 losses are far lower than the losses from 2020 up to 2024 now. So
there was some success.
Though PDS was just here for some few months, but at least
it made an impact.
A lot of changes. All the workers can attest to that, that there was an impact. So the main issue is that the contract was terminated. It's not because they were not up to task. They were up to task, but the contract was terminated. So it means that this time, if you want to bring a private sector, we make sure we do all due diligence and make sure that they are coming to do the work for us.
Now, the cost of bringing in a private sector, you don't think that it would offset the outstanding revenues for ECG when they want to employ a private sector? Of course, it's not going to be cheap.
Yes, it's not going to be easy, but you see, we are losing. And if we are losing, the amount of money that we are losing, PDS was supposed to invest about 580 million Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, when they started this revenue mobilization process, people were owing ECG about 5.7 billion Ghana cedis, right? So we have a lot of money in the system. ECG should never be poor. ECG should never have any issue with respect to their lines and their transformers and other things. We have the money there. We just need to go for it. But this time, because of the way things are, and you see, we are not trying to say we should sell ECG. Okay. And mostly when people say privatize, they think that sell it to foreign people and let them come and take our money. You see, we are advocating for local private sector to come and take over. All Ghanaians respond to private. Private companies don't play, right? So if you go for local, it's 580 million. It's not beyond. African companies.
Okay.
See, and we are also advocating for maybe not, let's say, one company buying off the commercial sector, but we can sell it to maybe about 6 companies, and then each one will look at a certain sector, invest there, invest in the lines, invest to reduce technical losses in the area. Maybe you look at the southern sector and other things.
Now, Doc, I mean, doing all these rights, like you're saying, we shouldn't also lose sight of the fact that on the other side of the value chain, there are transmission losses and from Gridco and so on and so forth. And so if you put this, if you rationalize this revenue collection side and we fail to do the other side, the transmission losses, we fail to check it. You don't think that it will be pouring water into a basket? Exactly.
When we look at the transmission, there's one thing about, as an engineer, one thing is that when it comes to the transmission side, we are not losing much. Because when you are transmitting, when you see Gridco transmit about 161 kilovolts, the more voltage that you are transmitting, the less losses the less technical losses that you are going to have. So what it means is that when it comes to Gridco and other things, the kind of losses that we are having is the thing is that when you are passing power through the line, no matter what, you lose some in the line. So those ones are automatic. We will definitely lose it, right? Okay. But this side, it's like we have to collect the money and use the money to do investment, and we are lacking that. And that's why we need to look at the distribution sector.
Right. We don't have much time, but finally, the quest for exploration of renewable energy resources to address the power crisis is still on. But to what extent do you think Ghana can benefit from this?
Ghana can benefit a lot from renewable energy. When it comes to solar irradiations and other things in Ghana, we have a lot of potential. What it means is that we can invest a lot into this renewable energy side, and then we can get enough from it. One thing is that I believe, ASEC believes that we should adopt a model called the Asaase model. The Asaase model has to do with solar as a service model. What it means is that and all these things come to the privatization side, because if you have a private company now, they are coming to invest money into the distribution sector. So we can have the Asaase model where the distribution sector will look at installing, there's a high cost with this renewable energy.
Right.
So they can install this renewable energy maybe for a company. The company will have the renewable energy installed for them. And as they use, they pay the distribution sector. So it means that all residential aspect, those who want the renewable energy, they can invest, the distribution sector can invest in installing everything for you. When the services are not there, you go to the renewable aspect. All this power cut issue will be resolved. So you will not, though you don't have the money to invest, someone is investing for you. You get all the resources and all the reliability.
And so it's like net metering it into the national grid. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So in that case, we have to look at our policies with respect to net metering and all that. So that, there are individuals who also be installing their solar panels. They'll be injecting into the grid. You need to pay them.
Right.
So we need to look at our policy with respect to that one. But then if you also have the SaaS system, where the service company is providing you with the renewable energy, it means that it will be another source of money for the distribution sector as well.
Right. Thank you so much. Dr. Elvis Twumasi is the Director of Research and Innovation at the Africa Sustainable Energy Centre-ASEC, and we've been talking about the ECG's move, or the government's move, to decouple the revenue section of ECG from the technical side. That is a suggestion coming from ASEC, and my guest has been Dr. Elvis Twumasi. Doctor, thank you so much for coming.